This is Günther Fellinger podcast. I'm so happy to welcome Miles, who has an interesting story to tell. He is American Romanian, as far as I understand. All the secrets, I think you will listen. You will let our consumers, our friends here of the free world know very soon. I'm very happy that you decided to join. For the intro, I would like to say that we have now reached already 13,000 YouTube subscribers and 14,000 on Instagram. So please, all of you who see this video, please subscribe at Günther Fellinger Podcast on YouTube, but as well on Instagram and on Twitter. I will share this video as well widely because I hope to get deep insights into the life of this young gentleman who will tell us everything about his political leadership for European Romania and about some other aspects of your life, maybe about
For sure.
America. I'm looking very much forward. Please, Miles, start and introduce yourself and tell us all your secrets. Please, Miles.
Thank you so much, Gunther. It's an honor to be here on this podcast with you. I'm Miles Barron. I'm a Romanian American who's been involved in politics for the last 3 years, particularly in European politics up until the last 4 months, since I moved to the United States. In the last 2 years, I was part of 6 different campaigns. I was in 6 different teams for different parties, different politicians I supported. And this includes local elections, referendums, parliamentary elections, the European Parliament elections, and of course the presidential elections in 2024 and 2025.
Okay, tell us
Um,
which country? Which country? In
in
Romania.
Romania, in Romania, yeah,
Okay, so you
my
are.
home
Tell us a
country.
little bit more about yourself. You live in America or you live in
So I just
Romania?
moved to America for family reasons. I'm only here to finish some studies, and then I'll be going back to Europe to start my career.
So it must be
Um,
very early because here it's in the afternoon here, and you are at
yeah.
which time zone?
Oh yeah, here I'm in the Pacific time zone in California. It's 7 a.m. right now.
Okay, sorry, I
And
woke you up very early for a student.
it's
Are you a
okay.
student?
Yes, I am.
And you are studying now in California?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So tell
Yeah.
us a bit about your Romanian adventures. You are basically a Romanian originally, and you
Yes.
grew up in Romania.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from Romania. My mother's Romanian, my father's American. I lived in Romania basically all of my childhood life, all of my life. I grew up there, and I always loved politics and leadership in any activity.
Mhm.
So one day I was invited to a party where there
A
were a lot of
party, a
people.
student party, or a political
Oh no,
party?
like a party with, like with fun and people, enjoying themselves. And I met this younger man who was a bit older than me, and he was very involved in the political world in Romania. And he got me into the first party I joined, which was the National Liberal Party of Romania.
That's one of the
Um,
leading parties, because you have to explain it. That's the center right-wing party
yeah.
of Romania.
Yeah,
And
it's a center-right party. It's in the EPP,
yes,
and I personally, though, do not consider it to be very liberal. I think it's a pretty conservative party based on the values I've seen them having in the party. But I made many good connections there. I met people in government,
in
and
which year was that?
that was in the very big, like end of 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago,
Okay.
and the very
So
beginning
we're
of
talking
last year I left.
2022,
Yeah,
23.
2023.
Okay.
And I left the party in 2024, I think in around February, March. Um, and because there were other campaigns that were going to happen, there was the local elections and the parliamentary elections coming up. 2024 is this big election year. So
Yeah, it was very
everybody,
exciting. I was also participating very heavily in the campaign to support the president. And I
yes,
was fighting against this Russian imposter Simeon, and I was
yeah.
fighting for Nixuadan on Twitter. I did, I think, 10,000 tweets. It's exaggerated, maybe. But I'm very happy to meet you. You are also working for the president.
Yes, so during 2024 there were the local elections. Nicu Shodan, before he became president, he was mayor of Bucharest.
Okay.
And He was running for re-election in 2024, and that's where I was able to meet him and his team. And one of the things that I started off as a volunteer.
But he is not in that party, in the Liberal National EPP
No,
party.
no, he's an independent.
Okay.
So when I met him, one of the things that set me apart from other volunteers was the fact that I brought a lot of young volunteers with me. So wherever I was invited to help campaign, I brought another 15 students with me. And what happened was when you'd give out these flyers and you'd help out, other young students would see and they'd say they want to get involved too, and they'd ask me for details. And all of a sudden, I come with 30 students to one campaign when we go and give out flyers. And so all of a sudden, he saw that I have this ability to mobilize, and so did his team. And so they recruited me onto the team. They got me into their chats, and we started discussing how do we mobilize young people to help in his campaign.
Recruiting means that you had a kind of a full-time position, a paid position on the campaign staff.
Yes, and then after that, we had the referendum in Bucharest. We had a referendum because
What
Bucharest is
what
very
kind of
split up.
referendum?
So Bucharest, since communism, is split up into six sectors, and there are seven mayors of Bucharest. There is a mayor for each sector, and then there's the mayor of the whole city, and they manage the economies differently, right? The mayor of the sector, respectively, takes care of the economy in his sector, and the mayor overall has certain projects that he has authority over. And so Nicușor was mayor of the whole city, but he thought that it was ridiculous that we have all these other little sectors in this city because it slowed down progress and it made it harder because some mayors of different sectors did not want to collaborate with him. So the referendum was to reduce that autonomy, and also it had a different change on education in Bucharest, local education, to give certain authority to the general mayor of Bucharest. And so I was
Now
part
it's
of the
getting a bit
campaign.
confusing. How many elections and referendums? Yeah. So,
So it was one
tell us.
referendum and one local election that I took part in before the presidential elections in
That's all
2020.
in the early part of 2024, the referendum and the.
Yes, it was in June. The referendum was in November of
Mhm.
2024.
Okay.
I was on the same day that the first presidential election came up with Elena Lasconi, if you know about it, which got
Yeah, I
canceled.
supported her in the principle. She was a really good person,
I
but I
did
think
too.
Nick Jordan had more chances to get everybody from Bucharest and the center to be mobilized, and so I shifted my support to him.
Yes. Once the elections got canceled, Nicu Jordan decided to run for the presidency. So that's when, the day he announced it, I said to the team, I'm joining the team as soon as possible to help in any way. And so they got me not only to help coordinate volunteers and mobilize volunteers, but they also got me in the online team. They got me to check what he was posting and how it can attract the youth vote in Romania on a national scale. And we also had a third group made for people who go online and, they debate these comment sections in different social media posts. So if you have like TikTok and you have a bunch of far right Russian bots being tweeting, or putting in the comments something, you have these people reply and see if these people are actually real and, expose it basically.
Mhm.
And so we had a whole set of teams set up in the campaign.
So you were fighting the Russian troll machine.
Yes, yes, I was. And I still hope to be doing it every day. In America here, we have a huge issue with that at the moment, with all the posts going on protecting Trump. And even though a lot of them are from here, it all started in 2016 when, the Russians interfered heavily online in our elections.
Absolutely. You think they really helped Trump and there was a lot of Russian election interference?
Oh, I think so, yeah, because there has never been a Republican or a Democrat president this pro-Russia, this neutral to certain things where you can't be neutral.
Hmm.
I think that if you uphold the values of the West, there are certain things you can't be neutral on. And so, I think it's a complete hypocrisy when Trump says, yeah, I'm like Ronald Reagan. When Ronald Reagan, he stood up to Russia, whereas Trump lets Russia do whatever they want, and he ignores his allies. He doesn't care about his allies or his enemies. And so that is completely wrong. We need to have a steadfast leader. And so, but what I think personally is that Trump and his terrible leadership and foreign policy with its allies is very good for Europe because it makes us realize we need to work together and we can't always rely on the United States for our defense. And so I'm very happy to see that in Romania, Nicușor is implementing huge army reforms in Germany, huge army reforms in France, everywhere. And so we're beginning to realize we can't rely on America for defense or for economics, and that we have to work together as a whole, you know?
Normally, we Europeans, especially in Germany and Austria, are very happy to let the Americans fight for us. And second best is to have the Romanians fight for us. Do you think that's particular fair?
Yeah, I know. Are you referencing like the Iraq War or
No,
like
when it comes to the defense against Russia, it's always that the
ah
Austrians are neutral and the Germans have no real army anymore. And so it's the Romanians who have to defend us and the Ukrainians.
yeah, we're right on the border, so it's very scary for us. But the problem is now we're at a point where there's so much fake news being thrown at Romanians that about half of Romanians are asking the question now. They're like, so what if Putin takes over Ukraine? They're saying, well, what does he have with Romania? He has no issue with Romania. It's not like he's going to attack Romania or Moldova. And I said, well, Moldova's not even in NATO, you know? And they just say these things that, oh, why shouldn't we work together with Putin? Why shouldn't we buy Russian gas and oil? Who cares if they commit atrocities in Ukraine? They're basically Russians. And so it's become okay to say these things and not face any consequences anymore. You're not rejected by society anymore for saying something this absurd, you know,
Is
especially when there's
Romanian
proof of the
society more
atrocities.
pro-Russian or more pro-Ukrainian?
Sorry?
Is Romanian society more pro-Russian or more pro-Ukrainian?
Well, based on what we've seen in the elections, luckily enough, we're more pro-Ukrainian, but pro-European, pro-Ukrainian. But after the elections, you know, the far right has been very loud. And so we have an issue in Romania. We've just gone through the most corrupt government and the most corrupt president in the last 5 years
Who
that
was
we've
that?
probably ever had. We had Klaus Johannes, who was a president who promised, you know, to be a big reformer and to fight against the corrupt PSD, which is the Social Democrats. And instead of working against them, he created a coalition with them, and he didn't work with the reformist parties. And then after that, he decided to steal so much out of public money. They found out that his private flights in his last mandate uh, spent up to 100 million euros only on private flights for his vacations. So he went all over the world. He went to Egypt for vacation and stuff, and he used public money. And so there was this huge outrage, you know, because we had this hugely corrupt government and president. And so the far right just naturally grew from that. And so did certain reformist parties. We have new reformist parties like the Green Sense Party that is starting to rise, especially with the youth. And so it's a big deal in Romania right now, what's going on.
I liked Klaus Johannes actually. He was a good candidate. He was German,
Yeah,
Austrian,
he was
and
Austrian. He was Austrian. And
I think so. And I thought he
yeah.
was very clean man and a good NATO soldier. But what
Everybody thought
happened?
that. Like, you're not the only one. We all voted for him thinking because his first mandate was a very clean one. It was a very solid mandate. But his second mandate, you know, he didn't negotiate with Austria when they refused to have us into Schengen.
Yeah,
He
I
did.
have to apologize for that one, Miles. I'm really sorry because we treated you shabbily, and I want to apologize in the name of the Austrian nation.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
No, it was
We got
bad.
in now, you know.
We also have our populist moments, and it was a disgrace. And I did a lot of videos and tweeted and talked to a lot of politicians to get you in. And luckily, you're now in Schengen.
I'm very glad that we got in, and especially now because you know so many Romanians we have what I think 6 million Romanians who are in the diaspora who are working in mostly in Europe. We have thousands, hundreds of thousands in Germany, I think a few million in England and in Italy and Spain. So it's very important that we have Schengen so that it's easier for them to travel from their home, the country they're currently living to and home, you know. So
And
I think
also in
it's
America, I
essential.
think a lot of Romanians are living.
Yeah, we have about, I think, from 300 to 500,000
Mhm.
Romanians in America.
And you might are a little bit organized with the Romanian American lobby in Washington.
Yes, so I've already met up with quite a few Romanians here.
Hmm.
And one of the things, the day before I left Romania, I got to meet people from the administration and who were telling me, the president, he feels that once people have helped him out, he must help them out as well. And one of the main things they were asking me was, what kind of future do you want in politics? And once you finish with university and everything, do you want to join our administration? And because I already have friends who have joined the administration and have begun advising Nikushor because he thinks he needs people of all age groups to teach him different things because he recognizes the fact that he doesn't know everything. So it was a big deal for me. And one of the things they help do with me was try to get me in contact with the Romanian Americans in America right now. So the Romanians in diaspora in America. Um, and one of the
You
main
know, I
things
work
they've been
very well
talking.
as well with the Albanian Americans, and they have a
Mm,
very powerful lobby in Washington. And the Romanians are a bit silent. And it's really important with such a big group of 300,000 that you get organized and you have more impact in Washington, D.C., because Trump has just withdrawn, I think, some soldiers from Romania. And that's a
yes.
big, big thing. Yeah, you should really make sure that the American army stays in Romania and all the big investment projects of the US Army and NATO completed. And that's why you need to put a bit of pressure on the American president.
I totally agree. And when I feel like I have the numbers of people to mobilize and to actually bring to Washington, D.C., because they're spread, Romanians are spread all over America. There are a lot in California, though.
Mhm.
When I
And you are
feel like
like
I
a
get
little
in
bit of
contact with
a
enough,
computer whiz kid, I understand. You understand the power of social media and of
yes,
canvassing. You can
yes.
use that in America as well.
Yes, but for example, like what I've built, the social media I've built in, for example, Instagram or TikTok has been very based on, what I've done in Romania, and it's going to be a very hard shift to move everything to America. Luckily, I have about a year because what I'm preparing for to mobilize these people who are living in America for is the midterm elections in 2026 because those are essential to combat what's going on with Trump. And if we win back Congress, Trump will lose a large part of his power and influence over what's going
You
on in the
will
United States
support
and
the
abroad.
Democratic Party or the Republican Party.
I will endorse the Democratic Party.
Okay.
And when I feel that the Republican Party has moderated, I would be totally glad to support the Republicans as well.
But for
I
26, you will support the Democrats in California.
Yes, yes, 100%. Because I try to act very independently.
Do you
I've
know
been
already Gavin Newsom, the governor of California?
Yes, I know who you're talking about, the governor. I want to also help him because I think he may run for president in 28.
Okay.
And
You
so
know
that's
him
one of the.
already?
Sorry?
You know him already?
No, no, I have not gotten into
Okay.
contact
I
yet with him.
want the governor, Gavin Newsom, meet Miles. He's a computer whiz kid. He's a social media star, and he has the power of the Romanian Americans here with you. So that's your chance to win and to also be nominated 2028. Please, Gavin, you hear me? Not sure he hears me, but
He'll
I will
hear you,
send it.
he'll
I
hear
will
you.
tag him on Twitter.
Thank you very much.
Do you know
Yeah,
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I know you're, yeah, yeah, he's also got a governor of California,
You
Arnold
have to
Schwarzenegger.
contact him. It's a very good guy. I don't know him, but I admire him. I want to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. You want me like at the gym? You want to go to the gym a lot? Or
Absolutely. Are you going
I
to
go
the
every
gym?
day, so I know what you're talking
Okay,
about.
Miles is our guy. Free world. Miles is our guy. He's going to the gym. I like
So
it.
I actually wanted to ask you, when it comes to things like NATO and the EU, right? What do you consider to be more important right now for European security? Can we rely on NATO in the future? Should NATO become like a global alliance, or should it just be limited to the Atlantic,
No, no.
to the
NATO
United
should
States?
do its homework and support Ukraine and also defend Romania. This is very important. And enlarge to take more countries in, like Austria, Romania. is already so Austria, Ukraine, Bosnia, and Kosovo. These are the four countries I'm proposing to be integrated, and
Totally
we
agree.
also want America, of course, to stay. No question. I mean, it will stay anyhow. This is just a nonsensical debate. The thing is, we need America strongly committed to European security because with this we can anchor the whole global security. And we need young Americans like you who take responsibility in politics and really change this away from populism into responsibility.
Yeah, totally agree.
So
And
you have my full endorsement. If you go to democratic politics, you have my full endorsement. Absolutely.
I don't
Mobilize
see
the
myself.
Romanians and
I
run
don't see
for
myself
US
in American
Congress.
politics, unfortunately.
So
I see myself more working in Europe. I personally don't see America anymore as the future power of the world any longer. In the long
you
term,
will
I
be
think.
surprised. Even you, Miles, you are a very smart boy, man, but you can learn something. And the situation is America will always stay the greatest power of this planet.
Well, I think Europe has just as much potential. In fact,
Okay,
I
we are
think they
catching
have
up.
more. Sorry?
We are catching up slowly, but
We are,
nevertheless,
and I
together
think the
we are
more
very
we unite,
powerful.
the better.
Together we will be very powerful. And we need people
Yes.
like you who are on both continents well established.
Yes, thank you. And I think we need politicians all in Europe that can be competent. And one of the main issues we have in Europe is communication. I think, for example, you could talk about the Commission, right? With Ursula von der Leyen and what she's done. She's done a lot of good things domestically with agriculture investment, right? With green energy, and they don't communicate that to the European people. They communicate it to their parties and what's happening in the parliament, right? But people don't receive the message, and then it allows the far right to just continue spewing this idea. Ursula's bad. Ursula's bad. The EPP is bad. Only vote, Patriots for Europe parties and that and this type of stuff. If you, it's we're gonna end up like what happened with Biden, with the Biden administration in the United States, where he did a lot of good things and people never mentioned them. And
Mhm.
because of it, Trump got elected because all he would say is Biden's bad.
And what do you think Ursula von der Leyen has to do, according to you?
What I think she has to do, I think she has to be much tougher. Um, I've seen maps already with all of the infrastructure attacks by Russia in Europe, in all of Europe, in European territory. They've captured people with bombs trying to blow up industry in Germany, in Poland, in Denmark. They've blown up infrastructure. They've blown up our pipes and our communications. They've hacked into her communications when she was flying to Romania in a helicopter. They hacked the way, so they had to
Mhm.
use a map, a physical map, because the Russians just attack every aspect of Europe inside without it being a war. And so I consider it, just as Nico Shore says, I think it's a very good point. We're in a hybrid war with Russia, and we should act much tougher on it. We have, for
You
example, in the
think?
Danish Straits,
Do you
many
think the
Russian
president,
boats.
President Nixon, will be tough?
He is tough already. He's already been doing heavy military reform and planning to create a modern military in Romania and to deal with a secure border against any Russian invasion and incursion. The
In the
only
terms
issue
of
is,
support to Ukraine, do you think Nixon is on 1 to 10? He's a perfect 10 or is a very weak one?
I think he's an 8
8.
when it comes to support to Ukraine. It
Romania
also depends.
delivering weapons is delivering
Yes,
weapons.
yes. Romania is delivering weapons, it's delivering jets. It's a bit one of the
Mulțumesc
bigger.
mult, Romania.
Cu plăcere. We're big fans of Ukraine and we try to help them as much as we can, but our biggest obstacle is parliament. Our parliament votes in laws that make it very hard for us to defend ourselves. We had drones, I don't know if you know about this, but we had drones, Russian drones come over our airspace
Mhm.
in the last months, I think about four.
Why don't
And
you shoot them down?
well, that's the thing is that Nikushor, at first we let it go because we thought it was a mistake and it went back in and it hit a tree. It didn't blow up. But then the second times we got the Nikushor ordered the jets to go up and to take them down, but the parliament voted in a law with the far right parties saying that you can't shoot down any drones. And so our biggest obstacle right now is our parliament, which has 30% of the populist parties in Romania. because they keep on trying to make it easier for Russia to encourage on Romania, whether it's aerial or in naval space or in, even in land
Mhm.
space, certain
So
areas,
why don't you have early elections and kick the Russian party out?
because they're very popular right now.
Oh no,
Because of all
because you
the
are in California now and you don't work on the social media accounts of.
Well, so the problem is, like I said, we just went through the most corrupt government in our history. We have huge deficit that's risen because of it in the last 4 years. And our issue is right now, we have very few good parties in parliament. So Nick Khrushchev, what he did is he created a coalition of all the pro-European parties. And he said, I don't care whether you're reformist or you're part of the former coalition, we're all working together and we have to implement some reform. So we're in austerity measures, and you probably, as you probably know, because you're smart, austerity measures are not popular. We raised the VAT tax up by 2%, and the
Mhm.
far
How
right
much
used
is it
it.
now? How much is
It's
it now?
21%.
Okay. And how much
Uh,
is income tax in Romania now?
I don't know. I think that also went up to about 20%. I'm not sure.
Really?
But I
Because
know the
normally
VAT
you had
tax is the
10%
main
income tax, and I gave you a straight A. Romania had the best tax system. But check it on
uh,
Google now. What's the exact one?
Romain. What was it?
Income
Income
tax.
tax?
You probably didn't pay a lot because you're very young, but for most economists, it's very good to have 10% flat tax. I love
10%
it.
in 10% income tax. It's in Romania.
It's unchanged.
Yes, but 16% on corporate profits and
It's
capital gains.
unchanged the same.
Yes.
Okay, please
So the only thing
tell
that
the
went up is the
president.
VAT tax.
Tell the president we want to have flat tax 10% to stay, and also
Mhm.
corporate 16. It's perfect. Even lower can be better. Even 10% like in Bulgaria is the best, and this will be the best tax system.
Yeah, I think what we need is to stabilize the economy as soon as possible and begin further integration. Like, for example, joining the Eurozone would be
Yes,
essential.
yes, the euro, Miles.
Yes, I'm a
Why
big
is
fan of joining the
Nixotan not
Eurozone.
pushing for the euro?
Yes. So what's going on right now is because we're in such a bad economic situation and we haven't been in a stable enough economy since we got into the EU in 27. Um, we haven't been prepared enough to join the euro. What we're scared of is if our economic situation impacts the transition, we'll end up like Greece did when it joined the euro, in this
No, no,
economic
no.
crisis.
You have to come in. Bulgaria is now joining, and Romania must be in euro as well.
I
Please,
agree, 100%. And
the
Romanians
faster the
want it.
better.
Romanians want to this transition. A lot of Romanians want this transition, especially in the government. But it's very hard with our current economic situation. And so I think once we stabilize the economy, I think in the next year, the austerity measures, a year and a half, the austerity measures will go down and will bring the taxes even lower than they were before Nicu Shore became president. And I
Yes.
think by then we'll be able to start saying we have a stable enough economy to begin, you know,
I'm
integration.
also very happy when this is happening. I will celebrate in Romania and we're gonna
Me
meet
too.
because the
Yeah.
Eurozone for Romania is my biggest target.
Yes, it's a huge target and it's
And
something
it will make the Romanians rich again.
I hope so. Because
And
we
tell
have a
me one
lot
other
of
story,
untapped
Miles.
resources.
You because Romania, one thing I'm not happy is about Romania has not recognized the Republic of Kosovo.
Oh, same here. Same here. I have
Why
a
is
good
that
friend
not
from
happening?
Kosovo. So Romania has this big issue. We have, as you know, Transylvania used to be part of Hungary. And one of the,
Austria-Hungary. We have not
sorry?
forgotten it.
Yeah, Austria-Hungary as well, but mainly a part of, the Hungarian part of Austria-Hungary.
Yes.
And Romania, once it took it back, it's always had this minority. And when the war happened and Kosovo got its independence, the excuse was that Romania said, we're scared that if we recognize Kosovo independence from break away from Serbia, that the Hungarians in Romania will try to break away from Romania, which is absurd because they love living in Romania. They speak both languages, they're very integrated. I think the main reason, though, right now, we haven't recognized Kosovo until now, is public opinion. Romanians have this idea that Serbs are their brothers. They're like brother country. I
Really?
disagree completely. I don't see it this way. I think
The Serbs
if
are
a
with the
Serb,
Russians.
sorry?
The Serbs are with the Russians and they hate them.
Exactly, exactly. It's not in our interest at all to say the Serbs are our brothers right now, our brother country. They're a very pro-Russian country. They're a
Mhm.
dictatorship. We see what's happening with the protests, but they don't care about that. They look at soccer, Romanians, they look at the soccer games and all that stuff where everybody's playing, football, and there are all these conflicts where you have the Romanians and the Serbs go together and they start yelling Kosovo is Serbia. And I
Mhm.
completely disagree. I have a teacher from a former teacher from Serbia, a guy named Mr. Besnik, very good friend of mine, who's from Kosovo, and he's always asked me about what's going on with recognition and stuff. Luckily, Romania right now, under its current administration, is trying to move forward and recognize the fact that Serbia isn't a Romanian ally, and we
Mhm.
shouldn't be protecting them, even though it's very highly against public opinion to say that. Serbia is not a Romanian ally. That's the fact. They used to
That's
be
a
in World
fact.
War One, but that was it. We've
Mhm.
never had any other significance with the Serbs, and everybody keeps on calling them our brothers. That's not, I don't see it as factual, and it's not. Um, and so our current administration is trying to work with Albania, and we're trying to move forward with this issue. And again, our still the biggest problem is our parliament.
Mhm.
Our parliament is making it hard for recognition to happen. But luckily, one of the big things we just passed in Romania was, I think it was the day before yesterday, was the National Defense Plan of
Mhm.
2025 to 2030. And in this plan, we have the big army reforms, but also he has a specific article about the West Balkans where we
Mhm.
discuss the importance of protecting all West Balkan allies, which include Albania and can include Kosovo. We have Romanian troops in Kosovo as well right now.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
It would
So
be
we should
wonderful,
begin this.
if that's possible to Romania to recognize Kosovo. That will be all the West will be totally happy. All the free world people will be very happy.
And they
All
deserve
will
it. They
support it,
deserve to be in
and
the
it's a
European
just
Union.
thing.
They fought for freedom and they're free and they have a good economy. They have stable leadership. They
Exactly.
have their own government, their own military. They're a fully independent country. They should be allowed to join the European Union and NATO if they wish. And it's
I
just these
completely
few
agree.
European countries that refuse to recognize Kosovo that make it so difficult for something that could be so easy and so good for all of us. And any country joining into the European Union, enlargement is good for any country. It's good for all of us because it's reinvestment in all of our countries. So I think we have to instantly, as soon as possible, recognize Kosovo and help them on their path to joining the European Union and NATO.
Absolutely,
100%.
Miles. You are now very popular. You have to come to Pristina immediately on your way back. You will
I'd be
have many
glad.
friends.
So we had a delegation last year in December of many people who came to Romania from the Union of European Federalists,
I know
who
them about
came.
that.
Yes, so I'm not a member officially. I have to become a member, but I'm part of the youth group there. They have a thing called JEF, Junior European Federalists. That's one of the big groups I support. I support a lot of NGOs and other youth groups, but that's one of the main ones I'm willing to support because I am a European Federalist, devoted, very, and that's one of the main things I hope to be a part of in the future
Mhm.
is in the process of European integration in politics in Europe. That's where I see myself in the future. So we had this big meeting in Bucharest last year, and we had a huge delegation from Kosovo, plenty of people from Kosovo who were talking about the issue and how they also feel it's necessary to integrate into the European Union and then have this federalist Europe. And we even had the former Minister of External Affairs who came there to discuss this. We had our Romania's former Prime Minister,
Mhm.
Dacian Cioloș, who was also there to discuss this. So we had many people who discussed the importance of integrating Kosovo further towards the European path because they have no other path. They're not going to join pro-Russian parties and stuff because pro-Russia party means go back to Serbia.
Mhm.
So the only light in this world any longer is the Western path, the Occident.
I tell it to the friends in Belgrade,
Yeah. Oh,
Banja Luka.
I've only been once to Serbia, and I don't plan on going lately. in a
Oh,
while.
Belgrade is nice city and the people are also nice, but it's unfortunate that they have this kind of extremist ideology. More than 50% of the people there. And this is a big
Yeah.
electoral bloc who is living in the past.
And especially because Serbia is this huge liability for Europe because they trade with Russia still
I
and make
agree,
it
actually.
possible. Yeah, because they make a lot of money from this. They trade with Russia and then they bring the goods from Russia into Europe and they trade them back into Europe.
So Mr. Orban is the guy who is supporting Serbia for EU membership and the rest not. Mr. Orban is the one who is encouraging separatism in Romania. And
Yeah.
Mr. Orban has recognized Kosovo, but Romania has not recognized Kosovo.
Yes.
So when Serbia is treating you bad and Hungary is treating you bad, why don't you do the right thing and recognize Kosovo then? Mr.
Totally agree.
Niksadan, where are you?
Totally agree. Totally
Mm.
agree with you. We have to begin recognition process for Kosovo. We have to work together with them. We already have troops in Kosovo. We were part of
Exactly.
the war. We allowed NATO to use their jets, right? That's what got us into NATO.
Yeah, you know
To
the story. It's really true.
Of course, yeah, with Constantinescu and what he did, and that was one of the big things that were unpopular in his presidency because of all these Romanians who think that that Kosovo and Serbia are one country and that Romania and Serbia are good allies, which is completely false. And so
Have
they
you
got
ever
very
met
mad at him for it.
Konstantinescu?
Sorry?
Have you ever met Konstantinescu?
No, I wish I have, but
You should. Next time you are there, you should meet him.
he's one of my favorite presidents we've had. I think
I had
he's
the honor to meet him once. It was a very nice conference in, I think it was in 98 in Bucharest.
wow.
It
And
was
how was
cool.
he?
And the organizers, they told me, Günther, don't mention joining NATO. It's too
Mm.
political. And I got the microphone next to the president. I was
And
a
he still
student
said
leader
it.
like you. I took the microphone and said, NATO! And I saw him, he was so close to me, and I saw his eyes like so happy that I made him really this. And then he said, yes, give me the microphone. And he said, NATO!
That's so good. Yeah,
It
that's
was
what we
nice.
needed. And he did a good job. He got us in. And
Exactly.
we've had a few good presidents in Romania until now. Romania's had five presidents in its history since communism fell. I've only considered three to have been good for Romania, really good. We've had Constantinescu, who I think was probably
He
the
was the
best
best.
until now. Yeah. Băsescu, who was up until 2014
He
president.
was good as well. I
Yes, he
think
was
so.
very good. And he got us into the European Union. And Nicu Jordan, who is now president.
But
So
in
I think,
between, you had a little bit of a weak face, I have to say.
sorry,
In
what?
between the last 10 years now, you had a little bit of a weak face with all the socialists around. And I don't
Yeah,
know.
and the problem isn't even the socialists because they're not socialists. The Social Democrat Party in Romania is a party that was built off of the former communists who weren't arrested during the revolution.
Hmm.
So those politicians who had that experience, they created this big party with the former dictator Ceausescu's good friend Ion Iliescu, who was a big advisor to him. And
Hmm.
Ion Iliescu became our first president, and Ion Iliescu tried to become a dictator as well. That didn't happen though because we had a constitution, we had rules in place, and but there were many protesters that were beaten and killed,
You
and
mean
so
96?
sorry,
You mean
yes,
96?
yes, and so
That
he
was
was
the
one of the
second
most
revolution. It was good.
yeah, he was one of the most hated presidents, and he died very recently, in a few months ago in August, I think. Um, I think August 6th it was, and every Romanian was very happy. The only people who weren't happy were the Social Democrats who saw this guy as a hero, but they're not really Social Democrats. They don't have full leftist policies. Their only policy is to steal, you know.
Miles,
That's
why
their
are the socialists in the last 10 years, why have they still stolen so much?
in Romania
Yes.
because of their experience in communism, because it was okay for them to be corrupt. It was because people ignored it, and it was one of the things that slowed down so much of our process into entering the EU. They used to be an anti-EU party. They used to be a pro-Russian party, and then they
Mm.
eventually changed their stance to a moderate pro-European party. And so the way I see it in Romania now, there are three categories for each party. You're
Mhm.
either one of the old corrupt parties, like the National Liberals or the Social Democrats. You're
Mhm.
either a pro-Russian party, like the AUR, which is what's his name, Simeon's party, and the
That's
other
bad.
two parties in
Ew.
parliament. Yes. Or you're part of the reformist group, which is what we have the USR. We have Reper, which is a centrist party. USR is the only reformist party in parliament, so that's why it's the only party in parliament that I support at the moment. I also support the National Liberals to some extent because our prime minister is reformist and he is a national liberal. But the other reformist parties, I'm very pro for them to join the parliament. I think we have to have this larger voice for the reformist movement in Romania, pro-European reform, rather than just have pro-European parties that use European money and kind of spend it and use it to some extent, and then to other extents steal from it. And we need to have, I think the European Union needs to be tougher on these types of like corruption happening in our country because Romania is in the Union, and they should be given more authority to check what's going on in countries and to make sure that the European funds are spent wisely, especially in countries like Hungary or Slovakia, which have very pro-Russian leadership, very corrupt leadership, especially in Orban's situation, right? In Hungary, we need heavy surveillance on what's going on in the country with the money we give them out of all
Miles,
of
you're a
European
famous
Union.
social media activist, yeah? Next year is Hungarian election. Will you push hard against Orban and for Peter Magyar?
Yes, for sure, for sure.
I will
But
do as well. Let's work together.
yes, for sure, let's do it.
I really
And
want to see Orban fleeing to Russia.
me too, yeah. And this summer, I'm gonna be going back to Europe, and I think in the spring as well. I'm not sure. When I go back, I'd be glad to organize events in Romania, maybe in
Okay.
Budapest as well, with
If you
youth
are in
groups
Vienna,
and
you're always
NGOs.
my guest.
I'd be totally glad to go anytime. I love Vienna. I've been quite a
And we
few
can
times. It's an
drive
amazing
together to
city.
the Budapest train station
I've
with
never been to
Romanian and
Budapest.
Austrian flag
Yeah,
and push hard against Orban.
let's do that. Let's
Let's
do
do
that.
that. And everybody in the free world, yeah. Orban must fall. Let's be very honest. We need an alternative. And there's Peter Magyar now. And really, seriously, we cannot stand. Today he's going to, where is going Orban?
Orban? I don't know. I'm not sure.
To Putin. To Putin.
Today he's going to
Yes,
Putin?
at the moment. I think the meeting starts now, any moment at 5 o'clock.
And how is that acceptable? That's
Yeah, it's not.
it's
It's not.
insanity. It's not. How
But we are
people
not
are
like
okay with
Russia.
this is
You know, we're
not.
not shooting down the airplanes of Prigozhin. We are not doing
No.
that. We are good
Yeah.
people.
It's
Wow.
insanity. It's insanity. And we have so many issues that we have to address regarding Russia right now. One of the big issues I have, which I think Denmark is starting to address very good in Denmark. Uh, the Russians, they take a lot of ships from Moscow that they use for trading weapons and other things, and they put African flags on it, or they just change the flag, and they go through the Danish Straits and they're able to trade with other countries around the world. And I think it's a
That should be
disgrace.
forbidden.
And yeah, we should check. We should be going into the boats and making sure that it's not Russian material, that it's not coming from Russia. I think that's something we have to do very heavily. And really, Denmark's been very attacked by Russia recently with all the
Yeah.
drones and jets and just constant provocation from Russia. And I think the new prime minister, I think it was a prime minister or president, she's doing a very good job right now,
Mhm.
especially with all her heavy support to Ukraine. It's very important. And I think it's insane for any of us who live in the free world. There are only 25% of the countries are free in the world right now. It's
Mhm.
insane for any of us to say any longer, to not support Ukraine. Like imagine where we would be right now. Just that's the biggest freaker for me. The scariest thing for me is imagine where we would be right now if Ukraine did fall in the
Yeah.
3 days it did.
Disaster.
Without these Ukrainian heroes who protect every one of us every day. We sleep well today in America right now. Russia would have so much more influence in the world. They'd have the country that exports the most grain, right, under their fingertip. And so, not only that, they could use it as a launch pad like they use Belarus to go to other countries to attack
Max, what is your
democracy.
age?
My age, I'm 16,
16. Are you very
believe it
young?
or not. And
I
people
cannot believe
used
it.
my age a lot against me for a long time during my implications in politics.
Max, is
But
it even allowed to interview for me, a 16-year-old? I hope
yes,
so.
yes, it
In
is.
Austria, you can vote already with 16, so that's allowed.
Ah, in Romania, they're trying to do that as well. There are a lot of people who think Romanians should vote by 16, at least in local
I
elections.
endorse that as well. The question is, Miles, what you feel about the young Americans sitting with their Thanksgiving and now at home with their families, while the young Ukrainians are sitting at the trenches of Eastern Europe and having to
Yes,
defend the country, while Mr. President Trump is saying if Zelensky doesn't accept the deal, this shadow dirty deal which Trump has proposed, the 28 points plan,
which
and
is a
then
Russian deal.
he says he will cut off all the supplies of intelligence and satellites and information sharing, and maybe blind the Ukrainian military, while the young men of Ukraine are sitting in the trenches, possible left to die because Mr. Trump wants to eat his turkey and wants to celebrate himself a peacemaker just for the title without any real peace to have. And he is
It's
saying
a
such
disgrace.
things. Isn't it disgraceful?
It's a disgrace to all of the West, and it's a disgrace to all the legacy that his party has had. You know, the Republican Party, even though I'm not a Republican, I'm a very moderate person. I'm not a leftist either. They've had presidents who have stood up to Russia. Ronald Reagan, Trump used Ronald Reagan in his campaign to say, "I'm the next Ronald Reagan who will look for peace." Ronald Reagan stood up to the Russians,
Mhm.
and
He
Donald
won the
Trump
Cold
doesn't
War.
care.
He
He
was
doesn't
cool.
care. He lets them do whatever they want. And the fact that, to me, the biggest shocker was the fact that nobody tried to arrest Putin the day he came into Alaska. He's an international
Yeah, that
criminal.
would have been a good
And he
idea.
should
And
be
you know who tweeted it? Who was calling for arrest Putin, arrest Putin?
you.
Me. Yes.
Yeah, me
It would
too.
have been funny to see his
It's,
shady face in Alaska. Oh, hello, Vladimir. Click, click, click.
No, yeah, we have to just get this guy out. We have to arrest this man. All these international war criminals in the world, we have to hold them accountable for what's going on. And especially with I forgot the name of the man, the Chechen man. There is this man who was in charge of like the Chechen military or something, who's now working for Russia in the Ukrainian military, and
Kadyrov.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And he betrayed his own people. He fought
Yeah.
against the Russians, and now he joined the Russians to fight Ukrainians, and he's taking Chechen people and he's recruiting them and he's forcing them into the army. It's insanity what's going on all across Russia and Ukraine, and these people are dying. And even though these troops are being sent there, they don't even want to be there. Who wants to be in a war? Nobody wants to be in a war. So it's just one insane man and his expansionist ideals that cause so much instability on a global stage. We like years ago this would have been seen as insane for this to happen. In
Mhm.
2015, something like this would have been impossible to happen. Nobody would have thought because we were much more united, world. The world was collaborating much more, but now there are all these
It was not
conflicts
so
going
much
on.
better because we were so weak. Obama, actually, you're from Democrats, yeah? But
Yeah.
Obama was the one who was doing nothing when the Syrians used gas and bombed the people in Aleppo with gas bombs. Before, he has said at the end of August he will move against them and he will intervene. And then in August 2013 says he went to the Rose Garden, he wants peace, he wants a coalition, and he did nothing.
Yeah.
And
There's
then
this,
Putin has seen that, and then he took Crimea.
yeah, he took Crimea, and that was
Because
something else
Miles,
that
what we
was should
need,
have
we
been.
need America to be powerful, vigilant, and ready to strike the enemy's heart.
Yeah, and so one of the
And if
issues
you
I
are
have
going to
coming up.
American politics, I recommend you very much and be a friend of Europe.
Yes, I am a friend of Europe, a very good friend of Europe.
Thanks a
And I
lot.
want to say one of the things that concerns me and one of the reasons why I keep on saying I think Europe is the future and the European Union is the future of the West and uh, what I think will be the next global order for freedom in the world is because what I've seen here since I've moved here with American society is becoming heavily influenced by media, by social media, by all. all of these companies that have such a large influence in the United States,
Mhm.
and you have issues with companies that check your IP addresses, that listen into your conversations, and there are very few restrictions, and it's becoming very scary, the situation, because for people it's just becoming more normal, and they listen to just about anything that is fed to them. You know, one of the big differences I've seen between European news outlets and American news outlets is you have, for example, Euronews, which says, I don't know, Trump said this. And in America, any Fox News channel or CNN channel will say, Trump said this, here's why it's good, here's why it's bad, and instead of actually presenting it like a normal news outlet would, they present an opinion with it as well, which always is used just to influence people a little bit. And so we as Americans, our society needs to develop heavily if we want to continue this path as a leader, because our people haven't been educated enough to see through things and propaganda that is being fed to them by governments, right? Like the current government, which is just constantly throwing propaganda every single day. They say something else, which is insane. And so millions of people believe it for some reason. And that's because we have huge issues with education. I think one of the biggest issues is the fact that we don't have one federal giant budget. Instead, we have a federal budget and a local budget. And so certain states have more budget for education, certain states have less. Like California has a big budget, and for example, I don't know, Oklahoma has a very, very low budget for education. And so the people in Oklahoma will naturally have a lower, less educated process. And it's a huge issue. And we need to adapt our society to the modern world. And I think we had a huge issue with that with the internet that came so fast, and we need to begin this. We have to look at our future generations, because by the time the next elections come up, even if we get a Newsom president in 2028 and he wins a re-election, what happens after that is what we have to look at. We have to look in the long term. What happens in the next 10 years, 15 years, you know?
Miles, let me ask you, are you Generation Z?
Yes, yes.
I'm what generation I am with 57?
Millennial, I think. I'm not sure.
Boomer?
Sorry?
I'm a boomer.
You're a boomer. You're a boomer?
So who is the stronger generation? Generation Z or Generation Günther Fehlinger boomer?
At the moment, your generation, I'd say. I think in the future, our generation will have the power. And so,
Will
like, for
you
example,
be
look
a
at
good
me.
generation,
Sorry?
Mr. Gen Z, Miles?
Sorry?
Will you be a good generation?
I think so, because there are going to be hardworking people like me. I have hardworking friends who constantly try to have a good impact on our young society and our youth. And I think we
Will
will
your
be.
generation be a socialist left-wing loony or a strong patriotic winner generation?
So I think it's gonna be a mix. Um, I personally am not either. I'm a patriot, like a European patriot. I don't look at Romania as, as a nationalist would, for example, or America as a nationalist would. And that's because I recognize a very realistic fact that Romania is never gonna be a empire or a strong country in this world, but it's never going to be a superpower. And that's what I explained to all of. I have friends who are on the far right and who disagree with me and are pro-Putin, pro-Ukraine, anti-Ukraine.
E.
And one of the
You
things I
must
say is
change them.
Romania is never. Yeah, I do. I actually have changed quite a few of my friends over, and that's one of the things I'm very proud of, is that I have friends who I've changed their opinions drastically to be more pro-European. And so what I say is Romania is never going to be a superpower. No power in Europe, maybe Germany at best, if they use nationalism, will ever become a superpower in the world again. But we can all be part of one big superpower together. That is the way I see it. If we collaborate,
Europe!
yes, Europe is the future for all Europeans. And that is what people have to recognize. And they can
And
say,
that's
we don't
why.
like immigration, right? They can say
That's
that.
why we need the Euro for Romania,
Yes.
European future for Romania, and also for Ukraine. That's why we need young people like you in charge. And that's why we need also, if you can, the euro for Romania, Romania to recognize euro. This was a very nice interview with Miles from California, one of the leading activists for the youth vote in Romania in the crucial election year of 2024. A very nice young gentleman who will finish his studies and return to politics, maybe in the US, maybe in Romania, but we will hear more of you in the future. I want to thank you very much for coming to the show. And now
Thank
I
you.
wish you a nice morning. I think you will go to sleep again now because it's 8 o'clock, or you will work hard for the free world.
Yes.
And if
I
you
always
can
will
go to
work
the
hard for the
gym,
free
you
world.
know my slogan, go to the gym, work hard for the free world, and find a nice girl and make some babies. But in your case, you can wait a little bit because your parents will sue me if and that is too early.
No, my
So
parents aren't
wait a
that
little
bad.
bit, but nevertheless, the idea is good. The concept is online. And I want to thank you very much for this nice interview. And I
Thank you
will
so
upload
much
it
for
soon
having
on
me.
YouTube and you will be able to share it. And I will share it on my Twitter feed. And I wish you a lot of luck in your endeavors to promote the ideas of the free world in the young generation of Romania and California and everywhere in between where the free world is, from Romania to California. Thanks a lot, Miles.
Thank you, Gunther. Thank you so much. It's been great being here.
Yes, it was very nice.
Yeah, I'm
I
glad.
just have to check where we are. Wait a moment. I have now here. I will stop the recording now.
Yeah, for sure. Also, Gunther, if you ever want in the next summer in 2026, I'm going to be in Romania organizing all sorts of events if you ever want to